Hi friends, it's Liz here. Today I will be showing you a really fun ephemera holder. I'm absolutely in love with it. I've got some new digitals to show you as well, and they were inspired by the project. So I was so excited about that. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the share. Let's get started. Okay, so I thought I would show you my latest collection. I am in love with it, of course, and it was really inspired by just playing around right now with my fabrics and trying to do, French and fabrics and that sort of thing. So this is page 1 of the kit. It's, again, I don't make mine big kits because I like to, so the pages that I already have, the digitals that I already have, I like them to sort of coordinate nicely, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So this one here is, the French fashion collection. And so I have two of these really, gorgeous fabrics in the background. We've got a little bit of French text on the page. And of course, this could be your journal page cover. It could be a journal page on its own. You can, tear it up and just use it in collages. And that's one of my favorite things to do. So this would be page 1. And then the next one is this one with some of the fabrics as well. And the reason I'm saying I like to make my printables coordinate sort of together, if you remember, I made the fabric swatch pages, oh my gosh, a while back. And I even showed you how to make this cute little ephemera holder. It's like the clutch with the accordion pockets. So all these kits coordinate nicely with the current one, which is all about fabrics and textiles and that sort of thing. So that would be page 2. And then this one I'm really excited about. I wanted fabric swatch cards, and I was trying to, find ones that I wanted, and then I just couldn't really find anything that worked. So I made my own. This is what it prints out like on white printer paper, and I have talked about my favorite papers. I'm going to link my Amazon shop below so you know what papers I like to use, but this is what it looks like on white photocopy paper. And then I went ahead and printed them out on this ivory colored cardstock, which I really like as well. So you can see when you cut them up, these ones have already and also you can see the difference in the colors and how, depending on the paper you use, the ink and how it kind of comes through, that's what you'll get. I'm also printing these ones on like best quality on my printer. So there's different levels of being able to print, and you can have like draft print, normal, and best. And I like to print most of mine on the best one, which does take up a lot more ink, but I also have an ink program, which is super affordable. If you're interested, I will also link that below for you. And I mean, I print so many pages a month in color, and I don't have to worry about it. So anyways, that's the one there. Again, printed on cardstock. This is what they look like. Yeah, this ivory cardstock. And then of course I wanted you to see what you can do with them. So this one, I went ahead and I added some fabric swatches that I could send to some friends, and this way you can cut them up and do that yourself. So what I did is I made 2 that already had some sort of fabric swatch on them, and then 2 that you can add your own. So that's where this one comes in. And then this tinier one, I wanted to sort of mimic what I did here, but these are real fabric samples. These ones actually are from Denise's shop, A Tattered Dream, and she's got some beautiful torn ribbon samples there. And give me a moment. This is sort of how she puts them together. They're just so lovely. So check her out. I will link her shop below as well on Etsy. But anyways, what I did with these is I also just added them on with a double-sided tape, because then I can just take them out. But if you wanted to, you can run these through your sewing machine and they would stick right on, or you could glue them on with fabric tack glue, which is another one of my favorite things to use. But this was just to kind of show you how it can look if you actually add your own little fabric samples. I thought it was so adorable, so I hope you like it as well. So there's that set there. So it comes, of course, like this. And then you have two pages of just, and actually I have an extra one that I don't need there. 2 pages of just beautiful fabrics. And again, when I was looking for all these, it was like French fabric themed, and that's sort of what I went looking for. And I found some of these beautiful prints. So again, you can, cut these out and use them separately. You can collage these on your pages, and they're just such beautiful, vintage designs. So that is it for this kit. And like I said, I will have everything linked in the description box below. As always, you can just send me an email if you have any questions. Hi friends. Okay, so today's quick share I am so excited about. I hope you're going to love it just as much as I do. This is a little ephemera holder. As you can see here, it is very compact. It's tiny. You can send it in an envelope. And it was inspired by an Instagram post I saw by Ruby and Pearl. She did something similar, and of course I was just thinking, oh my gosh, I actually have something that I could do that's, that goes along with what she did, but that I was so inspired to make. And so I have, I've made this cute little holder with it as well, ephemera holder. So the way she did it is she was inspired by the sort of end piece of a piano roll paper. I think she ended up cutting hers up and adding it to her page, but I happen to have that in my shop, and so of course I ended up using that to make this project. So as you can see here, so let's start at the beginning. This just holds an, if you tie this around, this just holds an extra piece of, you can make a nice long tag. I did these French fashion ladies here, so you could just add something else to it because you're sort of holding this together. And so I ended up actually making a printable because I wanted some of these French ladies, and so I will show you that printable in a moment. And then we'll actually make one of these. Okay, so we're actually going to make one. So this is what this looks like. And now I ended up cutting up the printable page, but I'll show you in a bit what it looks like together. This is what these ladies look like. And so I just kind of folded this in half, and I could journal inside of this, like to write my little note to whoever I'm sending the ephemera pack to. So anyways, I thought that was just super cute. And then here I just added a paper clip to hold some additional ephemera pieces. And these are all actually from my kits. All these pieces that you'll see here, because I was just playing around with the different pieces that I have and the different sentiments. And so I thought this would be nice to, to cut up and send to someone that they can use in their work as well. So I guess I'm just trying to find different ways to send mail to friends that's kind of special, and that you put a little work into, but it doesn't have to be that difficult. So as I was saying, this is what it looks like inside, and then this is what's in my shop. You will find that in my shop, and I'll give you more details about how I printed this when I show you how to make it. So that's what it looks like, and then it's all folded over. And as you can see here, what I did is I wanted everything removable, so I made sure to paper clip everything. And so it comes right out, and you can actually write a little note here as well. This green page, actually, I used from an envelope printout from Renee's shop, GT Designs. Okay, so this is from my kit. And then this is actually a piece from Digital Collage Club. And then these are just real, vintage pieces of paper. This one comes from a Tattered Dream, Denise's shop, and I love it because it's so thick. And it has the 2 different colors. And then this is just another piece of ephemera. So as you can see, it's just a nice way to layer, paper scraps that you want to send to someone. This could be like a really nice collage kit, so they can do their own collages with everything you've included. And then I made these little pockets. This one says paper hug. And this is also a sentiment that comes in my kit. And then you have all these different ephemera pieces. Again, I've shown you these before, but they are all in my shop, and I will link everything there. These are my mini Polaroids. and then my mini ephemera. I ended up making the mini ephemera when I was showing you how to make that mini album, because I thought it would fit nicely in it. So that's where that is. And then on this top one here, I've added another like pocket. So it's got another tiny little place to add pieces, again from my kids. I tried to keep it consistent so I wouldn't have to keep mentioning all these different things. Plus I have them all cut up and I wanted to use some of them. So this is from my my little garden notes one, where you have the days of the week in different backgrounds. And then of course we have all the different little ephemera pieces that you can use in all your projects. So I thought, you know, you could load this up with stamps or stickers or whatever your favorite supplies are, and then they can take everything out and refill it. But I think what I loved about when I saw that with Ruby and Pearl, it was like the presentation of the little pack. And like I said, that inspired this whole thing for me, especially since I already had the piano roll digital in my shop. And so then I thought, that's just beautiful, right? And so the other thing that you could do, which I didn't do for this one because I wanted to make it so that most of you have the supplies at home and you don't have to buy a lot of extra things. This you could add like one of those metal, oh my gosh, you know what I'm talking about. I think you do. Brads. I'll come up with the word soon. But anyways, you could do so much to keep it, you know, closed like this. So many different ways to do it. But I just think it looks beautiful. It looks vintage. It looks really presentable. And I think, you know, any friend would be happy to get such a lovely piece of ephemera. I will probably be adding this style also to my bento boxes, because what I've been doing is every time I come up with something, I'm thinking of ways to add them to my ephemera stationery bento boxes. And so I think this is so cute. Wouldn't you love to get this in the mail? I mean, I think it's fabulous. Okay, let me show you how to make one. And then hopefully you will have fun putting many of them together. And remember to please tag me on Instagram or on Facebook if you are on it. If you make one, I would love to see your inspiration, because of course I'm inspired, like I said, by what I saw on that post by Ruby and Pearl. And so that's kind of where this came from, and I'm just super excited. And let's make one. Okay, so here are some tips that I'm going to give you before you print out your item. As I may have mentioned, I have this available in my shop if you're interested and, you know, want to follow along with me. So the one you see here, I printed on the format that is called best printing, and that's the best printing on your printer. And that means if you can see the difference, the colors are darker, crisper, brighter, that sort of thing. It does use up more ink, so that is entirely up to you if you wanted to print in the best quality that you can on your paper. I also have favorite papers that I use. I find that they take on the ink a little bit better, and I have all that linked in the description box below. My Amazon fave supplies. I also have that on my blog if you're interested. But you can see just the differences in color. Again, you don't have to make it that, you know, that beautiful printed color, or sorry, that sharp image. It can just be like this. This is just as nice. And this is printed on the normal setting on my printer. And then what I've done is I've printed it on, of course, a piece of scrapbook paper that I had. So I cut it to 8.5 by 11. And so now this will make it easier when you're cutting your paper, that you already have the inside already cut up. And the other thing is I am using photo paper, printer paper, I should say, not thick cardstock, because I really want things to bend and everything else. But you can certainly print it on your, you know, nicer scrapbook paper if you wanted to. So now I'm just cutting out the edges. It does not have to be so perfect, really, because, you know, it is a craft project. You are trying to make it as nice as possible, of course, but it does not have to be perfect. So here I'm just cutting, you know, around this little edge, which I am going to keep because we are going to just add something to it to make it that little bit stronger. Okay, so these pieces I can use as pockets, as you can see on something else, just kind of fix them a little bit. So I don't like to waste something if I don't have to. Okay, so you have this piece left over here. I'm just going to round these edges a little bit. Okay, so this is what you have finished. And so this is the easy part. You can just eyeball the, you know, the fold if you want to. You could make it smaller on this end so this flips over further, but I kind of like to maybe go this far. Okay, and you can always use if you don't have a scoreboard, etc., which I'm not using here because I know not everybody uses that. You can just grab a ruler and just, you know, fold your pieces over to sort of be straight. Now here I'm leaving this a little bit over, but maybe I just want to go that far. So that means that I'm going to have, you know, this left over here more. So again, it's just playing with it. I'm not really too concerned about how this is going to turn out. I want it to look like it's vintage, like I've, you know, I've held it a lot, etc. Okay, so there's how that's looking here. And then for this part, so now you can kind of see the shape, right? This is what we ended up looking like before. Okay, you can see how nice that turns out. This piece here, I wanted to reinforce it. And so what I did is I just grabbed a scrap piece of cardstock, a little bit thicker than, of course, the paper I'm using. And so I'm just, so if you can see here, I'm just lining it up to the back and the front so that I kind of have an idea what it's going to look like when I've put it sort of beside the back of that right there. See that there? Okay, so now I'm just going to actually, this is what I found was the easiest thing to do. And first, before I do that, I'm just going to make sure that it's not so uneven on the back. Okay, this might take a little bit. So I'm trying to make sure that it's straight on the back, as you can see there. But I'm also trying to cover the front as much as I can. And before I glue this down, okay, before I glue it down, see how I'm lining it up so it's all covered. But then I'm also flipping over, making sure that it's somewhat straight on that side. I'm just going to grab a pencil. And again, I'm just hanging on to that. Just trying to do the outline on this side. Because I find if I outline it, and cut it afterwards, then it just makes it a little bit easier. So you can see that you're left with that. Okay, so now I'm just going to cut around that and then cut around that side there. Okay, so now if I put it back, it should fit almost perfect. Just I should have cut on the inside of the line. I know some of you were yelling at me saying, cut on the inside, Liz. Just a smidge right there. Okay. And because it's this really nice cardstock, I'm going to cut a little bit off on this end too. So when you're cutting your edge, cut on the inside of the line that you marked. Cutting on the inside of that line. And now we have the piece that fits nicely there. So now just take my glue. And now I lost where I was. Okay, so again, where my marks were, I'm just double checking because depending on which side you put it on, it might not line up. So if I go here, that lines up, see? That lines up a little bit better. And then it will line up there as well. Okay, so I'm just grabbing my little messy piece. And you can always clean this up after, my friends. It doesn't, like I said, It's supposed to be one of these really enjoyable projects that I should have actually added this before I folded it, but I was just so excited to show you. So here we are, and just so I can show you there what it looks like. Okay, so you see a little bit of the brown. I can cut that off a little bit afterwards. And on the inside, it's just, I'm going to move it up a bit. Just don't want it to be so, I want it to cover the inside nicely like that, but then I also don't want it to stick out so much. So I'll just cut around those edges so that it matches it better. Okay. And then that's this part here done. So now you've got that little piece that sticks out. You can always push it back a little bit, like I said before, if you kind of don't want it to be so far over there, and then you'd move this piece over. And again, I am not being very careful with this. As you can see, I'm just bending it as much as I can. I like the fact that it's just not this perfect project, but you can just make it look as nice as you want. And again, I'm going to clean up this edges. So while I do this, the next step that you would do is, this is where you would get your little metal, okay, I'll remember the name eventually, where you would put them through here, or this is where you would punch your hole. Now I'm going to use the smaller part because I find using the bigger one just sort of goes right to that edge, and I don't want it to go so far to that edge. So see right there, I've left just enough to hang on to that. Okay, and then of course you can distress that, finish it off, etc. And then we can add our pockets and the rest of the stuff. So I always ask, if you want to see the full process, let me know. I can, you know, show you how I decorate. But this one I find is pretty standard. You know, you add your pockets, you'll add your little waterfall pages, and now you've got this cute little ephemera holder you can send to a friend.